I collected your corrections for your quiz, and hopefully you all learn from your mistakes. And on our class blog, there's a new puzzle, the 8/8 puzzle. Make sure you check Moodle for all the due dates. And we did have people that knew when your test is, when your project is, and when your Chapter 3 blog post is due. So check on Moodle. Put the dates for your class in the planner. They're all on Moodle. So today we really started talking about how do you use percents in real life. And I asked you, how would you find 50% of a number? Most of you said you would just divide by 2. And that's correct, but you need to make sure that you understand that when you find 50% of a number, you also can multiply by 0.5. So you just make the decimal from 50% into 5/10 or 50/100, and of always means to multiply, and I'll show you why in just a minute. So I said try it with 315 and do it mentally. And so I said think of 315 as 300 plus 15. Then it's easy to do in your head. Half of 300 is 150. A half of 15 is 7.5. Put it together and you have 157 and 5/10. And then I said, what about 60% of 315? Can you reason it out mentally? So we talked about 50% and 10% is 60%. And you know what 50% is. And to find 10% of 315, remember you just take a tenth of 315, which is 31.5. And if you add these together, you get 189. And 189 is 60% of 315. So again, why does of mean multiply? Well, if I said I have 3 plates with cookies on it, and each plate has 4 cookies, you all knew that 3 groups of 4, 3 plates with 4 cookies on each plate is 12 cookies. So of always means to multiply, whether it's 3 groups of 4 or a half of a group of 4. 1/2 times 4 is 2, and 3 times 4 is 12. In mathematics, of always means to multiply. So then I had you check that out by using your calculator. 60% you put in your calculator is 0.6 times 315, and you all got 189. So it worked. So suppose your grandparents, let's make it real, gave you 315 euros for your birthday, and your parents tell you you have to save 60% of your birthday money by putting it in the bank. So the fastest and easiest way is to just take 0.6, which is 60% as a decimal, multiply for of 315, and you would have to put $189 in the bank. If I said, how much money do you get to keep? You could do that 2 different ways. You could subtract 315 minus 189 to see the amount of money you get to spend, or you could subtract your 60% from 100%. If you're going to save 60%, then that means you get to keep 40%. And if you did 0.4 times 315, that will give you the same answer as when you subtract 315 minus 189. So 2 ways to do that, which we're going to do more of. So calculating a percent of a number is just like calculating a fraction of a number. If the percent's less than 100%, then you're taking a piece of the number. So if you remember, of means to multiply, and every percent can be made into a decimal. You move the decimal twice to the left, remember, because percent means hundredths or out of 100. So if something is 15% off, we talked about the decimal for that is 1500ths or 0.15. We use percents in real life to compare quantities. On Maria Hilfestrasse right now, there are lots of good sales going on. And if one store has a big sign outside that says 60% off everything today, and another store has a sign that says 20% off everything today, we're comparing, and we're going to go into the store that's taking 60% off because I'm going to save more money there. Or think about your grades. Percents help you compare your average as a percentage to a letter grade. Is it an A, a B, a C, a D, or a failing grade? So we use percents in life to compare. So I looked this up on the internet, and the median income in Vienna is 39,430 euros per year. And for that income, Austria has a 41% tax rate. That means you have to give 41% of your money to the Austrian government to spend for things like health care, social services, paving the roads, education for children, police force, fire department, ambulances, etc. All of that costs money, and the people pay for that. So I said, how much money in taxes would that be? So the way to find that, it wasn't disposable income, I had to take that out, is you need to find 41% of $39,432. So that's 0.41 for 41%. and you just multiply, and you get 16,167 euro and 12 cents. That's how much money you would have to pay to the Austrian government in taxes. So if you pay 41%, how much money do you get to keep? So in your group, I had you figure out 2 different ways to calculate how much your family would keep. And all of you figure this out. One way is to take your yearly income and subtract the 16,167 euro and 12 cents, and this is how much you'd get to keep. And a second way is if 100% is all of your income and you have to give the government 41%, if you subtract, this is the percent you get to keep, and this might be a faster way. You have less calculations to do because you can do this in your head. So it's just 0.59 times 39,432, and you get the same amount of money. It's still 23,268 euro and 88 cents. Either way, it's a great way to look back. Do it a second method. And if you really wanted to check, if I add the amount of money that I get to keep to the amount of money I have to give to the government, it should add up to my income, 39,432 euros a year. So here are the 2 ways. Subtract your percent from 100 and just multiply 0.59 times your income, or find the 41% and subtract the money from your total income. And they're both equally as good. Different problem. If a family spends 14% of their income on entertainment per month, things like going ice skating, going to the movies, maybe going to a symphony or a ballet, how much money is that? So for the annual income, first in your groups you all knew you had to divide by 12 to get your monthly income, which is 3,286 euros per month. And then we had to find 14% of that. Remember, of means multiply. 14% is 14 hundredths, and when you multiply that, you get 460 euros and 4 cents per month. And as Travis said, oh my gosh, between your taxes and your entertainment, you're spending a lot of your money. It's true, and you still have to pay for your housing and your clothes and your food and your utilities. It's expensive to live. All right, another problem. In Saturn, their headphones right now are on sale for 20% off. In your groups, you discussed 2 ways to find the sale price. So the fastest way, you guys said, is to just subtract. If you're going to save 20%, take off 20%, you're going to pay 80%. And this is faster because you can do this in your head. And then it's just 0.8 times 59.95. So you're going to pay 47 euro 96 cents. The other way to do it is to find your savings by multiplying the price by 0.2. 20% is a decimal. You get 11 euro 99 cents, and then you have to do some subtraction. Subtract your savings from the cost, and you get the same sale price. I think the blue way is faster, but both ways will work. Okay, another way that we use percents in real life is banks pay, they actually pay compound interest, but for 6th grade, we're going to talk about simple interest. Simple interest is just the interest that without adding what you make each day to your principal. But anyway, for 6th grade, this is simple interest is good enough. So first of all, you have to understand some vocabulary. You're going to put some money in the bank. That's called the principal. The money you put in the bank. Remember, the bank takes your money and they use it to make more money. Maybe they loan it out to other people and they charge them a higher interest rate than they give you for keeping their money, and they get to keep the difference, or they invest it. And then hopefully they're going to get more of a return on their investment in a percent than they're paying you. Time is always the number of years that you keep the money in the bank, and the rate is the percent the bank pays you. So your interest is the money paid to you, which is a percentage of the principal. So the way you find that money is you multiply the principal times the time times the rate. So for example, let's say you took all the money your grandparents gave you for your birthday, and you put it in the bank for 6 months at a 2.5% interest rate, which is a pretty high interest rate for savings right now, but you used to get that much about 12 years ago. So your principal is the money you put in the bank, your 315 euros. Your rate is this percentage that the bank's going to pay you. Remember, if you put 100 euro in the bank at this rate, at the end of the year, you'd get an extra 2.5 euro, because this means out of 100. So you'd get your 100 euro back plus another 2.5 euro. But we're not putting 100 in the bank, we're putting 315 in the bank. So we're going to multiply our principal times the decimal for that rate, which remember, to take out the percent, which means hundredths, you need to move the decimal twice to the left to get 100th of this. And then the time, 6 months is 1/2 of a year, and 1/2 as a decimal is 0.5. So if I multiply 315 times 25 thousandths times 5/10, it will tell me how much money the bank is going to pay me, called interest, on my 315 euro for 6 months. So that ends up becoming €2.95. Remember, the bank is always going to round down. They're not going to give you that fraction of a cent. They're going to always keep that. For you, it's only a difference of a piece of a cent, but for the bank with thousands of customers, they're going to drop it and they're going to keep it. So then I had you do, oh no, excuse me, this is a separate problem. Whoops, back up. So you did this in your groups. You multiplied this times 0.5, and the answer that you guys got for that was, yeah, €3.94. This was a new problem that you did on yourself. I said, try it yourself. So this time we put our money in the bank for a 1.25% interest rate for 9 months. Okay, so now you change this to a decimal. And 9 months, remember there are 12 months a year. That's 9/12 of a year, which is 3/4, which is 0.75 as a decimal. So principal times the rate as a decimal times the time in years as a decimal, and that's €2.95. So we just did a couple practice problems. All right, the general formula is interest is equal to the principal times the rate times the time. So we practice some problems. In the United States, this is supposed to say Philadelphia. Sorry, that should be an A right here. Let's fix it. Okay, Philadelphia is a large city in the United States in Pennsylvania, and cities can set their sales tax. So that means when you go to buy a t-shirt, let's say, you don't just pay the sticker price, whatever the tag says, you have to pay another 8.75% to give to the city to pay for things like the police service and maintaining the roads and the schools, etc. In Austria, they don't have sales tax, but in the US, you always have to pay sales tax in almost all cities. So if I'm going to buy something that costs $100, remember 8.75% means every 8.75 out of 100. So I'd have to pay for $100, $108.75. For $200, I'd have to pay 2 groups of 8.75 plus my $200. And for $300, I'd have to pay 3 groups of my 875 plus the 300. So here are those totals, just using your logical reasoning. So then I said, how much tax would you pay for a calculator that costs $14? So remember, as a decimal, because I'm not paying for something that's $100, so it's not $100 plus 8.75. I'm only paying something for something that's $14. So my decimal value tells me what it is for each $1. So it's $0.0875 for tax times $14, which is $1.23, and I'm going to round up. The store's going to round up because they're going to make me pay that fraction of a cent. And then I have to add the tax to the price of the calculator. So it'd be $15.23. An iPhone costs €850 in Austria at the Apple Store. I looked that up online. That's for 64 gigabytes of memory. If you buy it in the US, you pay about 2/3 of the cost, which is really 66 2/3%, but I just dropped the 2/3%. So it's about 66% of the cost, depending on the exchange rate of the day. So my question was, how much money do you save and what's the price? In your groups, you worked this out. Most of you did 0.66 times 850, and that's how much you'd pay. For how much you'd save, you just subtract what you pay from the cost here, and it's €289. And then if I wanted to do that a faster way, I can do 100% minus the 66%. I could do 0.34 times 850 to get straight to my €289. And then you have some homework practice. Remember again to read the class blog for your project directions. A lot of you forgot about the photos you have to take. For the project comparing estimates, you need some photos of at least 5 people that you surveyed included in your project. So go back and read the directions again. And that's it.